Adam, how's it going, my man? There we go.
What's up, man? How are you? Sorry, yeah, just took a second to jump on. How's it going, man?
Nah, no worries. Not too bad. I'm actually here in Miami, the city of your alma mater. So, I can't
Nice. You seem
complain.
like you're in a hotel. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm actually staying here with a friend. Supposed to be for a long weekend, and my flight actually got canceled back to Philadelphia last night. So I'm here a little bit longer than a long weekend, but I can't complain.
Why did it get canceled?
I think because of weather, it was really bad last night.
Interesting.
They delayed it, I think, a couple hours, and then I just changed my flight, and then I ended up getting canceled. So it's been a
Got
bad
it.
past few days actually. A lot of like rollover with flights. People were getting canceled left and right, but
Yeah, I mean that's a summer travel shit.
definitely. I guess we'll wait a couple minutes here for a few more people to join. So where are you right now? You're in New York?
I am in New York. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Let's see. Yeah, we can go ahead and get started. So, hi everyone. Thank you for tuning in to season 2, episode 6 of the Syracuse Sport Business Conference Digital Series. My name is Jordan Edelstein, and I'm the VP of Outreach for the SSBC. And today I'll be moderating this episode. We're thrilled to bring on Adam White for this current episode. Adam White is the CEO of Front Office Sports, a business news platform that covers the sports industry. His site was recognized by Forbes for the top 50 must-follow sports business Twitter accounts in 2015, 16, and 17. Adam was also recognized as Forbes 30 under 30 in the sports category for 2018. Adam, welcome, and thank you for coming on to the show. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate you having me on to talk. If for some reason the lights go out, it's just because I'm sitting in a room and not moving, and I'll need to turn them on. But that's that's neither here nor there. But
No worries. So why don't you tell us about your time at University of Miami? How did front office sports look back in 2014 when you started it, and what made you think to start something like that?
yeah, I mean, it looked drastically different, right? So 2014, it was literally a Wix-based website that I built myself. Frontofficesports.org was the platform, or was the domain. And it was funny because I always joke with people that I was dark mode before dark mode was a thing, because the website was black with white text. And I was like, oh, I was dark mode before dark mode was cool, right? Like dark mode's the rage now. And so like everything like that. So yeah, started like that and was really just the kind of the came out of a class project. So if anyone here is in intro to sports management or whatever you call it at Syracuse, ours was intro to sports administration. One of the things that is likely that you have to do is an informational interview, at least for us, right? That's what we had to do. So that was like our kind of like capstone for the year, was an informational interview. And so for me, I said, well, if I'm going to do one, I might as well do more than that, because as you guys know, and everyone who's watching probably knows, is that they all say that it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. I think now it's much more about both. I wouldn't say it's just about who you know when it comes to the sports industry. So I was like, well, I'm just going to go out and know a bunch of people. And so that's how I started. I took that first class project and I said, well, if I'm going to interview one person, I might as well interview a bunch of different people. And so I was back home after my freshman year. Was born and raised in Phoenix. It's 110 degrees during the summer. I didn't have a pool or anything like that, so I needed something to do in the middle of the afternoon while I was back home, and no one wanted to hire me from a job standpoint because I was only home for like 2.5 months. And so yeah, $40 for the first logo, and just started to put things together. And I remember the first interview still to this day was a guy by the name of Ravi Shah. He was a social media coordinator at the Sports Quotient, which the guy who started the Sports Quotient now is one of the guys who started Overtime, which is funny. So Zach. And so, yeah, I did it all, and it was something really interesting, because it's just like we started out talking to people, and what happened was we built the brand equity of FOS on the back of other people, right? So I talked to Ravi, and then Ravi shared the interview, and then I talked to someone else and they shared the interview, and that's how it all started. And so yeah, I mean, obviously the business has changed a ton since 2014. I don't think we set out with a single we didn't set out and say we're going to be a newsletter business, which we are now, right? We're a newsletter first publisher. We have 4 different brands. We've changed the brand from Front Office Sports to FOS. FOS is the parent company. Front Office Sports is the one of the brands with the other brands that we now have. But we didn't plan that until honestly middle of 2020, which was good. So the business has changed a lot. It's pivoted a lot, but yeah, it's been completely drastic. And back to your original question about Miami, the time there I think was pivotal. I think it was pivotal in the sense that, one, I had enough time with my major. Like, it wasn't as rigorous as like other majors, like it was like computer science or something like that. So I had enough time with my major to do this on the side. And then I just leveraged the heck out of the fact that I was a student. And I think people don't leverage that enough. I just said, hey, I'm a student at the University of Miami. I would love to chat with you about this, that, and the other. And again, my approach was a little bit different, because instead of saying, hey, I want to pick your brain, I said, hey, can I tell your story? And everyone loves to talk about themselves, as we know. Everyone wants to talk about themselves. And then all of a sudden you give them a reason to talk about themselves. Instead of getting 15 minutes or, hey, just email me questions or this, that, and the other, it's like you get 30, 45, 50, an hour, hour and a half sometimes. And so, for the most part, it's kind of crazy to think back, but like while I was getting my undergrad, I was almost getting my MBA, just in the fact that I was interviewing a bunch of different people. Like, I did 110 interviews in the first year. So I was doing, one every 3 days minimum, more than that usually. And I was publishing them and everything like that. So yeah, it's been really, it's honestly kind of crazy. We've been doing it. July 21st was actually our 7 years since we've been doing it and starting the business. And so, yeah, I, have done everything. It's a little bit different now. We have a team, and an amazing team, and a growing team who have now come in and are way smarter than I am in a lot of these different ways, and can grow us in the business where we need to be. But yeah, it's definitely gone through a lot of evolution and change as things have changed and the energy has changed. But I think the one thing that's always kind of remained the same is we've always wanted to make the business of sports, on the front office sports side at least, accessible to everyone. And that's how it all kind of started.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing that you were able to be productive back in Phoenix when you kind of were just looking for things to do, and you found a way. And it kind of reminds me very much how this webinar series started. I mean, we started during the pandemic. Everyone was home. It actually started a little bit over a year ago today, back in the summer. And yeah, I mean, the like-minded individuals like you, we're really looking to, interview people. And like you said, tell their story. I might have to actually steal that line when we're conducting outreach. But that's a very nice
I'm telling you, it'll work. It'll work 9 times out of 10.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's a much better way to ask someone, like you said, people love talking about themselves. So
as long as it's genuine, right? As long as it's genuine, right? Like, you can't say I'm going to tell your story and then just interview them and not do it, right? So like, I literally published them. So it was good. Yeah. I mean, again, like, the business has changed a lot. Where we're going has changed a lot. How we think about ourselves has changed a lot, but it's one day at a time, man. We're really feeling good about it. And we're really excited about the next probably 12 to 18 months and kind of how we've positioned ourselves, as long as, the world hopefully continues to open up. I know there's just a lot of hesitancies around all the things that are going on, but my hope is this is kind of just like another little bump in the road, and that we're gonna, sports is gonna be back. I'm gonna be in Atlanta in a month watching Miami play Alabama, and for my sake, I hope we have an upset. But just gonna go down there and enjoy it, and hopefully it'll feel relatively normal again. And I think if that's the case, we'll be in a really great spot. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And that kind of leads me into my next question. So, obviously FOS is kind of different now than it was years ago when you started it. How do you kind of envision it in the next 3 to 5 years, the future of FOS? What would you like to see from it?
Yeah, it just depends. Obviously we have some investment. So if we get acquired, obviously that may change a few things, right? If we're still operating independently, that might change a few things. I think our whole focus right now is to own the inbox. We want to be the platform that, from a sports standpoint, that owns the inbox across the business of sports. Right now, the NBA, sports betting, and then consumer sports. And I think we can get into different verticals too, right? So instead of going vertical with front office sports, which we do have, front office sports college, which again is more, I think, bigger picture anyways. But instead of getting vertical with like different subject matters with inside sports, right? You can do marketing, ticket sales, things like that. Like, we went horizontal and wanted to say, okay, let's do the business of sports, but then let's take what we're doing with this and what we know here and apply it to these different brands. So, I mean, I think there's a bunch of different ways that we could go about it and kind of envision it, right? I think we have national brands, we have local brands. I think that's a huge opportunity, just way media has changed and works now. I don't think email is going anywhere. I think email is going to stand the test of time. Everyone has emails, everyone communicates via emails, like no matter if it's TikTok or you name any other social platform that we have, for the most part is really just, I think email is going to stand the test of time. And it's so funny. One of the things that I always mention to the team in reference to the team is like, one of the big kind of guiding principles for Amazon, and I'm not Jeff Bezos, I wouldn't say that, but he always talks about the fact that he's like, what doesn't change? Like, we should optimize against what doesn't change. And so for consumers, what doesn't change? They want low prices and fast shipping. And so they just 100% focused on low prices and fast shipping because they knew that no matter what happened, like people, that's not going to change. And right. So for us, it's like, yeah, we're going to have presence on LinkedIn, we're going to have presence on Instagram, we're going to have presence on Twitter and this, that, and the other. But like, our audience is in their inbox. Our audience is email. Like, we need to own email, and like we need to do it better than everyone else because it's still a fringe thing that other publishers kind of think about, but they don't really do. And so for us, it's like we have to lean solely straight forward right into email and then go from there. And I think it's just that type of approach that has kind of differentiated us and allowed us to grow a lot faster than we wanted, than we expected. And what happens is then from the email side of things is you start to create what we like to call like a hub and spoke model, whereas like you have a brand and you have an audience, and as long as you have an audience that's meaningful and a brand that's meaningful, you can start to move them in different directions, right? So we launched the course product, which some of you on the call or some of you have taken, right? And so the courses are an extension of this opportunity, but the only reason we can do this is because we own our audience here, and now we can connect the dots, and the audience trusts us to deliver them valuable information, insight. And now when we say, hey, we're going to deliver you something a little bit more in depth, and it's going to be an opportunity for you to get certified, right? Like front office sports certified, because we've delivered high quality information, we're trustworthy, we are like news centric and this, that, and the other. They trust us to deliver this. And so we have that. And then we have awards. And then we have like Rising 25, best employers in sports. But we couldn't have that if we didn't have a brand that mattered and a brand that was meaningful, right? For our audience. And that's why it's so important from an inbox standpoint. It's so personal, right? It's like, it's the closest thing to personal other than texting, right? Like, and there's no media companies that are going to be built on text, right? Like all these other platforms are just platforms. Like honestly, quite frankly, TikTok, I don't use it, but from what I know and what I've seen, it surfaces stuff you don't even follow. Like like you don't even know these people. You're not connected to these people. You may follow them, but like oftentimes if you go to the For You page, it's literally stuff that is just algorithmically put in front of you. So you might like it based on your likes, obviously, but it's not like someone you're invested in or someone right? Like Instagram is more personal, Snapchat obviously super personal. So it's weird, but like email still remains to be something that's personal and something that everyone who works in and around a job that sits at a desk has to have. And so that's why we're so important, and that's why we're so bullish on, like, we want to own the inbox, and like there isn't really anyone in sports doing that or focused on it. And I think we still have like another 6 to 12 months to really be that type of person before other people catch on, if they ever do. But then again, like the sports media is very bifurcated in the sense that you have one side that's all about linear programming, ESPN's, the Turners of the world, and their digital properties support their linear properties. Their linear properties is where they make all the money, right? The media rights deals is where they make all the money, and the advertising and everything like that is where they make all the money. And then you have like social platform first publishers. So like the Overtimes, the Waves, Bleacher Report, obviously Bleacher Report supports Turner. And there's a big delta, right? There's a huge delta that we see. And that's, again, where we're really focused on is this 25 to 65-year-old working business professional who doesn't have enough time to go to a homepage or whatever it is like that, but will be in their inbox for 2.5 to 5 hours a day, right? Like my inbox is the first thing I check in the morning, the last thing I check at night. I check it on the weekends. Like, outside of texting, it's the one area that I'm always going to. And again, like, it's not perfect for, like, say, like 17 or like 14 to 18-year-olds because, they're on social platforms, Instagram. But once they get into the real world, there's just always going to be email. And so that's why we're bullish on it. And that's why we think that's the future for us, as long as we can continue to execute there. And then once we own that audience, we can get into experiences, which we've done, awards on the front office sports side of things. Like, advertising is a huge business and is a good business. And as long as you can get into it with a rhythm, then we'll be in a really good spot.
Absolutely, yeah. And one thing that I think is particularly awesome is that you guys kind of have that singular focus to get in people's, mailbox and their inbox, so they see, front office sports in their email. But not only are you doing that, but you also have different avenues that you're, trying to get in front of people's faces. So, they're not just seeing you in their inbox, but they're seeing you on Instagram and LinkedIn, just like you said. So your brand's always going to be there, in front of people's faces and, put in front. So, you have people seeing it. Maybe people don't check their inbox, but they go on Instagram, they'll see front office sports' brand. And that's amazing because, the more you can get out there, the better. And the faster you'll grow your audience. And
I mean, honestly, it's like, quite frankly, the thing is people think we're a huge company sometimes because they're like, I see you everywhere. My whole goal is to make sure people see us everywhere, right? Like, they go on Twitter, they see us. They go on LinkedIn, they see us. They're in their inbox, they see us. They're on Instagram, they see us, right? Like, again, like that's why we're also so heavy in the LinkedIn side of things, because it's such an important professional tool. Like, honestly, I can't even tell you how many advertising conversations happened with people saying, or start with people saying, hey, I see you on LinkedIn, or hey, I saw you on LinkedIn. And it's just like, and there's no one, I mean, absolutely no one who does what we do on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's our biggest social platform. I've been posting consistently when I was running the social platform. When I first was running Twitter back in 2014, when we first started, we started posting on Twitter in 2014. We didn't start earnestly posting in LinkedIn until 2019. We have 75,000 followers on Twitter, 76,000 followers on Twitter. We have almost 100,000 on LinkedIn. Wow. It's just crazy. Like, the growth there is insane. Like, I would just, honestly, if I would have done it again, I would have fucking done it earlier and often more. But I would suggest anyone who is on LinkedIn, for sure, like, I would just post more. I would post more interesting content. It works from a professional standpoint. It works when they people top of mind. The way the algorithm works, as soon as they engage and interact with your content, you're always top of feed when they come on LinkedIn, right? Like, it just, I'm telling you, if I would do it over again, I would have started heavily more on LinkedIn. I still think we're good where we're at, and I don't. No one has made it a priority, and we've been doing it for 2 years and like proving the way to do it. But for the most part, I think that's something that's still super undervalued, is just LinkedIn at large, because it's not a sexy social platform. It does what it does. It's a utility, but it's not a sexy social platform. So people don't talk about it as much, but it's powerful.
Definitely. Yeah. And I get the content, I get the newsletter, I see the LinkedIn posts and the Instagram posts. And I got to say, just like you said, people really do think you guys are bigger than you are. And that's a great thing. I mean, you guys are killing it on LinkedIn. You're killing it on really all social media platforms. But, people will think you're like the size of a Bleacher Report and ESPN just because, the posts are so frequent and often, but they're not just, it's not just quantity, but it's quality. The posts and the graphics, they look amazing every time. And so, that's a credit to you guys.
Trying to.
So what is different?
Yeah, the goal is to be best in class. The goal is to be best in class, for sure.
Absolutely. So you kind of already talked about this a little bit, but what is different about FOS from other media companies?
Yeah, I mean, I think the approach is different, like I said, right? The desire in terms of like, our whole business is as a utility. Like, that's our whole business for the most part, outside of 2 reporters who break news and, like, again, just add from a top of funnel added value, influence, and excitement and everything like that around the brand. Really just like a brand equity stamp. Our whole business is utility. We want to be a utility for our audience. We want to curate the most interesting content and the content they should care about and deliver it to them in a way that they can read in 5 minutes or listen to in 5 minutes or less, and go from there. Like, we're supposed to fit into your routine. We're not supposed to be something that you don't like getting. We're supposed to be added value. We're supposed to help you professionally, in your personal life, whatever, like across the board, right? Is what we're supposed to do and try and provide for our audience. And I think that's one of the biggest things, is like, we are truly providing a service. And I like to say, like, curation as a service, right? Like, we're building a CAS business, not a SaaS business. Obviously, we'll have original reporting, but first and foremost, it's curation, because what we like to say is the world is noisy, so let us quiet it down for you, right? Like, instead of trying to figure out all of the shit that matters, here's like 4 stories that really matter, that we think really matter. And people trust that our editorial team is going to sift through all the shit that's going on, right? And all the news and all the information and all this stuff that's happening. And then they're going to distill down all that conversation into what really matters for our audience of 25 to 65-year-old working professionals, right? Like, that's why people read us. That's why people read us every day. That's why people like Mark Cuban opens our newsletter 96, 97% of the time, twice a day, because he knows that he's going to get shit and information. And even me, like, I read stuff in our newsletter that I don't see because I'm busy and I have other stuff going on. I'm like, oh, I didn't know this. Like, I didn't know Hydro today is that, PM. Like, I didn't know Hydro was going public. This is really interesting to me. I didn't know, CVC is buying a $3.2 billion stake in La Liga. I didn't know that, right? And so it's interesting. You see the dynamics. We have like a lot of first party data too, right? So it's like, we know that some of our, most engaged subscribers are people who work at like Netflix, right? That's amazing, right? And it's cool. But like, the reason is because we have this, specifically on the front office sports side of things, we have this inflection of business and sports, and everyone loves sports and everyone loves business. And our whole idea is that, if you're in business, oftentimes at some point you were an athlete, right? And so all these business people weren't athletes or want to be athletes. All these athletes now want to be business people. And here you go, you have this kind of mishmash thing here in a nexus of where we're at in the business of sports, right? So that's that standpoint. I think FOS at large, right? Like, again, we're serving our audience across sports section, the rundown, and the association too, which is content that has a different take to it, and it's delivered to them, right? So it's delivered to you. It's not posted and you have to seek it out, right? Like, if ESPN posts on Instagram, like they posted on Instagram, but yeah, I may be following them, but the algorithm may not do it or whatever. I may have to go search ESPN to see that content, right? I may have to go search the Arizona Coyotes to see that content, all these different things. And so instead of posting and trying to pull people into your ecosystem, we pull people in and then push to them, right? So instead of a push then pull, it's a pull then push, if that makes sense. And so once you pull them in, it's a lot easier to push because then they're there, right? Versus like, every time it's a push then pull is like, you have to continue to push stuff to pull them back in, right? Versus like, you already have them in and you're just, so yeah, it's just a different kind of approach, for the most part, and really focus more so on like distilling down everything versus, trying to take an original take for, again, for the most part, we have original reporters and people who are breaking news, and we've broken some of the biggest stories in the business of sports in the last year, 100%, absolutely. But, again, the focus is on the curation side of things.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it seems like what you guys are doing, obviously it's working, but it's almost like the complete opposite of like a sales approach. Like in sales, they try to kind of strong arm you into buying whatever it is they're selling. You guys, you're kind of already getting people to come to you, and then you're putting the information and the content in front of them, and they've already bought in. So kind of taking a step back from all the success.
So hope.
Taking a step back from all the success that you guys have had, what are some hurdles and maybe mistakes that you've faced in the sports business industry, and what have you done to overcome those?
Oh, there's a lot. COVID obviously was a fucking hurdle. Still is, to this day. For the most part, we're an advertising driven business. Advertising typically is the first thing to go anytime things happen, right? It's the easiest thing to chop off the top line of a business, like by far. So, there was a couple months in early 2020, like January, February, even like more like March, April, where it's like, I want to say April, May actually, where there was like no revenue. Like, we were just like, what the, like, are we going to survive? I would joke with my number two, Russ, and the guy I co-founded the business with, I would be like, if the thing that knocks us out is a global pandemic, well, shit, we did at least a good enough job to not be like knocked out by anything else. So we survived that. So I think that was the biggest thing. I think right now it's just trying to scale a business in a remote world is tough. Trying to make sure you're focused on things is tough. Trying to make sure your value prop when you're trying to scale a business and everyone's on the same page is tough. So, I think one of the big things too that we hired was a person who is our, a people and operations manager. Her name is Shira. She's incredible. And she's put a lot of the processes in place, quite frankly, like, and, most people will admit this, like, I'm just not that person. Like, I'm just someone who loves to run and gun, and like, I know what I'm going to do, and I'm going to come up with crazy ideas, and I'm just going to fucking figure it out and just like basically strong arm my way into getting it done. And once you get to like 20, 30, 40 employees, that's just not how it works anymore, unfortunately. Like you have to have like processes, and you have to like get people all aligned, and like people don't know what you're just like thinking. Like Russ and I, for a fact, like know what each other are thinking. Like we don't have to, like we've been doing this every day of our lives for the last 7 years. Like we don't need to tell each other what we're thinking. We just know what we're thinking. So you don't have that with a lot of the new hires. And so you really have to find a good, strong executive team around you. I think we've built out a really good team there with Ernest and Stephanie and Edgar and Russ. And we're hiring an SVP of revenue. So we're excited about that. And it's funny because you get to a point where it starts to like feel a little bit easier, but it's not that much easier, right? So then it's just, there's an old saying like new levels, new devils. It's true, right? You know what I mean? When you're like, holy shit, like we signed our first X figure partner, and then you're like, okay, well in 6 months you sign your first XY figure partner, and you're like, holy, like this is crazy, right? But then now there's more expectation, there's more this, that, and the other, like all these different things. And so yeah, it all kind of changes and evolves. I think, when it comes to hurdles and everything, I mean, there's anything you can think of when there's a hurdle. Right now, it's perfect example from a business standpoint is like, how do you keep the employees happy? How do you keep them from being burnt out? How do you keep them from wanting to leave? How are you staying competitive? How are you making sure that they feel like there's a culture in a team, even though all they're doing is slacking each other all day? They're not talking to each other in an office, right? So those are the biggest hurdles, and we're trying to get around them and manage them appropriately. I think the other thing is just staying focused. Staying focused on the stuff that really making the main thing the main thing. Right? I think that's the big thing, right? It's like if you make the main thing the main thing, then I think that's a really big opportunity, because there's again other sayings. It's like niches make riches, right? Like I wouldn't say it's a niche, like sports isn't a niche, but the way we're doing sports is a niche, right? And the kind of how we're executing it is a niche. And so yeah, I think, it's just every day there's a new hurdle, right? And, some days it's like, half the team is out on summer Friday, which is fine, but you have to navigate around that. You have to schedule around that. So it's just how it comes. And you want that to happen, because then you get to the point where it's like, wow, there's other people who are around, and other people who are engaged with what you're doing. So, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, like you said, the new level, new devil. I mean, you guys started off just you, Miami, and you never really thought about having to incorporate other people and keeping them happy and dealing with that new devil at that new level. And you grow your team, and there you go. You have a whole other thing to manage on top of your main focus at front office sports.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly crazy, right? It's just like you have all of these everyone else. It's not only you that you have to manage, it's you have to manage up and you have to manage down. I think that's one big thing that everyone needs to understand, is that you always are going to have that, no matter where you are in life. If you have a significant other, you're going to have to manage down to them and up, and like this, that, and the other, right? Like so for us it's different, right? Like we have stakeholders that we have to manage up to, and then we have employees that we have to manage down to, specifically when I'm talking about Russ and myself. And then employees, our executive team have to manage up to us, and then manage down to the non-executive team. Then the non-executive team have to manage up to the executive team, and then manage down to clients or partners or other external stakeholders. So I think this is the one thing that I think would be, better taught, is just how to manage up and down, right? How to manage expectations here, how to deliver here, how to mend those together. So yeah, there's just interesting. It's all soft skills. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is soft skills. I think in a world where there's so much automation, and a world where there's so much opportunity to make things like easy with tech, or simplified or operationalized, people still have to understand how to work with people. You still have to understand how to read people. You still have to understand how to motivate people, how to email people, how to write, all these things that I honestly probably learned more soft skills working at the restaurant that I spent 4 or 5 years at than I did anywhere else. So, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, the pandemic almost put a halt to all those soft skills that people are learning, because, places closed down. You learned those skills at a restaurant. People couldn't really work at restaurants. And, I really think it's actually going to be a problem with, my generation going forward. I think a lot of people don't necessarily had those skills to talk to people. But obviously you've mastered that, and what you've built at Front Office Sports, it seems like you guys have a great team there, and everyone there does have those soft skills. So that's a credit to you guys. And not only is that a credit, but just building what you guys have built is awesome. But then being able to do it in a global pandemic. I mean, there was a lot of places and companies that didn't make it out of the pandemic. So, doing what you guys have done in 7 years alone is awesome. But then you add this 100-year pandemic to it, and it's just like, it's crazy. It's amazing what you guys have been able to do.
Thanks. Don't remind me about the pandemic. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, look, we've had great partners who, for the most part, have stuck by us, right? We couldn't have done it without them. We've had great investors who believed in the crazy shit that I've sold them. I'm just kidding. It's not crazy, but it's just like, they believe in us and believe in what we're doing and building. And I have a really great relationship with them. I'm sitting in their office right now because we don't have an office anymore. We closed our office in March of 2020 and haven't had an office since then, right? And they've, had me here, this, that, and the other, because I live alone in myself in New York, and I would be going crazy talking to my plants if I didn't. So I appreciate that, right? So, for the most part, it's been a team effort. Russ has been there. The team has been there. There's been people who've just believed in us across the board and continue to believe in us. Like, perfect example, like the people at Pepsi believed in us to launch a course product that we had never launched before in the middle of a pandemic. And we said, this is going to work. And then we had 8,000 people register for it. And they're like, holy shit, this worked. And they're like, I think, I thought it was going to. I didn't know it was going to work this well. And then we sold another one, and I think we're going to sell another one. And so, yeah, I mean, it just comes down to belief, man. Belief in yourself, belief in what is going to happen, and belief that overall you're going to make it happen, right? Because at the end of the day, it's just like we always say, it's like 1% better every day. As long as you get 1% better, it compounds. You'll be fine. It'll work out. I think there's a lot of opportunities for people to stand out nowadays. I think one of the biggest things is just having an opportunity to believe in themselves and believe that they can do it. And the barrier to entry at this point across any industries and anything is a freaking YouTube video at this point. Like, you don't even need to go to college. Like, we don't have college degree requirements on our jobs because, and again, there's no offense to any college. Like, I'm glad I went to Miami. It was a great decision, but there's just the barrier to entry to build businesses or sell or do anything like that is almost zero at this point. So, I think the biggest thing for everyone to understand is it's just like you have the opportunity. So, I mean, for me personally, I'm like deathly afraid of death. And so I like wake up every morning and I'm like, well, I hear, so I might as well do some cool shit. So, again, like it's just a mindset opportunity. And I think it's some of these things where it's like, there's just a whole big world out there. And I wouldn't just like put yourself in a box of one, like I am this, like I am a sports sponsorship seller. No, you're so much more than that. And I've had to learn that too, right? Like my username on Twitter is FOS Adam. Like my whole life, my image, my obviously career, my dollars and salary is all tied to this business. Like I don't know anything outside of that. And so as part of the pandemic, I tried to find other things that kind of made me who I was, because there was a time when I was like struggling with that. I was like, what if FOS fails? Or like when we were in like March and April and May, I was like, okay, so if FOS dies, like, because we run out of money and like we have no advertisers and stuff, like, what am I going to do? Because I don't know what I like. I don't know what I like to do outside of this. So yeah, it's just a really interesting thing. And I know kind of on a tangent there, but yeah.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's 1% better every day. But what people don't always understand is, like what you guys faced with the pandemic, you didn't know if you're going to make it out, but it's not just a straight shot, it's up and down, you try and get 1% better, but you can get 1% worse, like just as quickly. So,
yeah, I mean, as long as you net out to 1% better every day, that's all matters, man. Exactly. Some days, and I saw this quote the other day, which I shared with the team. I thought was really good. It's like, there's 4 quarters to every day, right? So you have like your morning, your afternoon, your early evening, and then your late evening, right? So if you think about it, right, it's like, 9 to 12, 12 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to, or yeah, like whatever. You quarters. If you took the 24 hours in the day and you fucking put them into quarters, that's what it would look like, or 12 hours, right? So, but one of the things is it's like, fail small, right? So it's just like, oh, something happened at 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, and it like blew up the first quarter of your day. Only allow it to impact the first quarter. Like fail small. Don't say my day is ruined. No, be like, oh, I have 3 quarters now to do it. Like, yeah, maybe this sucked in the first quarter, but man, I can come back in the second quarter, have a really good second quarter, have a great third quarter, maybe I have a shitty fourth quarter, but then all of a sudden my day was pretty even, right? So again, like, it's just little things like that you try to take some inspiration to.
Yeah, that reminds me exactly like something I saw on Twitter. It was they announced the minutes or seconds in a day to dollars, and they said if you had $86,000 or whatever, would you throw that away worrying about $15 that you lost or something like that? And basically, it's saying just like what you said, don't let it ruin if you wasted or whatever 10 minutes of the day was messed up. Don't waste the other 23 hours and 50 minutes. You know what I mean? So
yeah, 100%. You never know, right?
yeah. So
You
going
never
back
know.
to your day, and what does a typical day look like for you as the CEO of Front Office Sports?
It just depends. Really depends. Like today it was, I'm still sitting in the office, obviously. So went right up to this time, and we'll probably go into the evening when I get back to the apartment after this. But, for the most part, like today, it's really focused on when we talk about managing up versus managing down, it's managing up. So putting together memos for our stakeholders around some of the key initiatives we're rolling out in the second half of the year, some of the business lines, some of the aspects of the business that we want to be more in depth with them. We want to talk through with them. So those are the things that hiring. I spent a lot of time today on doing reference checks for our potential SVP. I spent a lot of time putting together cool proposals for partners, right? So all of a sudden, spent time supporting our sales team. I spent time, talking to our social team about something, right? Or whatever, or talking to this person. So, I get into the office. I usually wake up at like 5:45. I work out every morning before work, because if I didn't, I'd be a completely different mindset. So at least for me, working out is a really good opportunity for us, or for me, to kind of get away from the screens for a little bit. And I do it in the morning before anyone's up, because it's just, as soon as when people are up and then I get home, it's like, I'm too tired to do this. So yeah, I'm in the office by 7:30 a.m. usually, and then I leave the office probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock every night, and then I go home and work for a couple hours, try to be in bed by 10, and then get up again and do it all over again. So, I've tried to be better, at least giving myself the weekends to kind of get away from things, or at least Saturday. So I've gotten into hiking a lot, which is fun. But a typical day just really depends. Like if I'm looking at my schedule right now, so like I look tomorrow, or even just Friday, right? And like Friday is one-on-one, team meeting, a partner prep meeting, a sales meeting, another meeting, a team meeting, and a one-on-one. Right, like that's from 10 a.m. to 6, and then before then there's other things. So that's that. Tomorrow is I have breakfast with someone. I'm working on a lot of the managing up that I have to do. I have a sales call. I have another update call, and then a couple one-on-ones. So it's just like all of these things, right? It just depends on the day and where we're at. So, most of it is as we continue to bring people on, and like if I'm not selling anymore from a day-to-day perspective, a lot more of it'll be probably managing up and then managing down. But yeah, it's just depends. Long story short, just depends. I know it's a long answer, but just depends.
Yeah, well, to anyone listening to this is what's going on behind the scenes. You see the graphics on LinkedIn, but you don't see the 12-hour days that Adam's putting in. So, that's what it takes.
It's the team. It's the team. It's not just me anymore. It's the team. It's the team.
Definitely. I mean, that's what it takes to build what you guys have built. I mean, it's long days, but obviously, I assume you guys are doing it because you love it, not just, because you have to, but because you want to. You built this, especially you built this from the ground up. And you want to see and take it as far as it can possibly go. So it makes sense why you're putting in that time.
Yeah, it's at this point it's like, and it's not even just that. It's like everyone asks that question. It's like, well, guess what? There's 40 people now who pay their bills, who buy their girlfriend's dinner, who pay their kids' tuition, who get engaged, who pay for a housing payment. Like I can't not do this, right? Like, you know what I mean? There's people who rely on us every single day to make the right decisions, the right choices, have the good perspective, work in the right way, making sure we're being diligent, making sure we're not financially overstepping, or out kicking our coverage. So yeah, I mean, obviously there's always been intrinsic motivation, like don't get me wrong, but the extrinsic motivation now is the fact that, we have the opportunity there's people who are excited to work here, and like want to work here and want to be a part of this and are talking about it to their friends and their family members, and their friends and family members are excited about it. So yeah, that's the motivation to get to at some point. And look, we have so much work to do, right? We're just like, I mean, we're still in any 1 year one, to be honest with you. Like we're starting to get to where we need to be, but like, next year is going to be a completely different year, right? And is going to be a completely different level up from where we are now, because we have the team and the firepower across all of the organizational opportunities. So, and the different business lines. So yeah, I mean, I think we're in a really good place. We've positioned ourselves in a hot market at a hot time as the only one doing it. So as long as we continue to execute, as long as we don't run out of money, which we shouldn't unless we're crazy, and I just decide to spend dumb money on something stupid, which would never happen, like, it'll eventually come. But it's a day after day thing, right? Like everyone says, every overnight success story is 10 years in the making. We're 7 years in, right? So we're 70% of the way, but the last 30% of the way is usually the most pivotal. So yeah, I mean, again, like that just goes for everyone's career and anything like that, right? Like it's just not going to happen overnight. You don't see that. You don't have overnight success stories, right? Even someone like, what's his name? Shohei Ohtani, right? Like obviously he's an overnight success in Major League Baseball, but he's been doing this for years in Japan, right? He's been doing it for years, and like it's not just like an overnight success story. So yeah.
Definitely. Well, it's great to hear. I'm sure the FOS team, is happy to have you as their CEO and leader. I mean,
depends on the day, maybe.
Definitely. But you had that, like you said, you don't only had that intrinsic motivation, but it's also that extrinsic motivation to kind of support them and have such a great big team that they can really rely on you to make the right decisions, and it directly affects them. It really does. So they're all very lucky. And just one last question here, and then it looks like we have a couple questions from the audience. But
yeah, I was gonna say, is there any questions for anyone else? Because I'd love to answer them.
Yeah, there's a couple questions here. So we have one question. You recently teamed up with Facebook to deliver the Athlete Marketing Essentials NIL certification. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so comes off the back of the Pepsi course that was a smash success with us. And so actually all of this started, funny enough, when we launched the Huddle series, which was our event series in 2019. That was basically a master class. I was always told, like, all these events suck, they're not actionable. I go there and it's the same people talking about the same things. So I was like, well, that's dumb. Like, why would we do that? So we started the Huddle series. It worked. It was cool. COVID hit, couldn't do any events. And so we said, how do we kind of take this idea of like education and really impactful stuff and put it online and make it for free and have brand partners cover it for us and like have an opportunity to really have like a really great thought leadership piece and everything like that. And, that's how it all emerged. And we got in touch with the Facebook people. I talked to them for a long time, and I said, hey, look, this is a really cool opportunity. I think it's perfect timing. I think it's a great way to not only arm people, but athletes and students about how they can use Facebook, about how they can do these things. And, overall it worked, and it has worked. And, like I said, we sold our third course. We'll sell our fourth course, our fifth course, our sixth course, probably by the end of the year. And I think it'll be a very big business line for us going forward. But the thing is we had to, like, the only reason we could do courses today is because we spent the last 7 years building a brand that people care about. Again, like the only reason Elon Musk can freaking sell Tesla tequila is because he spent the last 10 years or 15 years, I don't even know how long it is, making Tesla a brand that people care about. Whether you like him or you hate him, like, people care about the brand. And there's fanatics, and there's people who love the brand and trust the brand and this, that, and the other, but it spent so many years doing that, right? Nike, same. Under Armour, same. Anyone you can think of. It's just like these brands aren't built overnight, right? And it's just physically impossible. So all that started in the past, and built the relationship with the Facebook people, had the right contact, sent them ideas, like was meaningful, and like, wanted to follow up with them with stuff that worked. So yeah, that's that's how it all kind of came together. And then we worked with them over the course of the last 8 to 12 weeks to put the content together, put it in one of our partners is Junction. So we worked with them on that. And then, from there, it just kind of is self-service, which is beautiful, right? Like, people can come in, take it at their own time. We promote it to our audience. Other than that, we're in a really good spot. So
there you go. Well, John, thank you for that question. We have another question here from Connor. Is there a company that you would love to partner with on something in the future, or is there a partnership you made in the past that you really enjoyed?
Oof. Oh, that's a good one. Partnership made in the past, I really enjoyed. There's a lot of them. Hyperice stands out to one because they just allow us to do cool things, which I really enjoy. Anheuser-Busch believed in us to do Rising 25. Like, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Anheuser-Busch and Nick Kelly, who's the president of Charlotte FC. He was our first major advertising partner. He believed in me, and our investment came shortly thereafter. But again, it was just a belief. It was a relationship that we built, and he decided to take a chance on some 23-year-old who sold him this idea that we could make an award about 25 people under 25. And it's so funny, the first time we awarded the award, people like, is this fake? Like, they didn't know it was real. And then now it's, honestly the award to win in the sports industry. And like, that's pretty much undisputed across the board, right? Like, it is the award to win. Like, people is meaningful. It changes career trajectories. It's something that we have hundreds upon hundreds of applicants for, because it's that meaningful. So yeah, it's a little bit crazy. So love that one. Brands in the future, there's a lot of them. Obviously, you can think about like the key ones, like Peloton obviously is cool, and Nike would love to do more with them. I think there's some areas in which we could creative, like the TikToks of the world. And there's any brand you can think of that touches sports, I would love to do and execute partnerships with from an opportunity standpoint. As crazy as it seems, I would love to do something with like In-N-Out. In-N-Out Burger, they don't do anything, but like, that'd be really fun. Maybe an athlete at some point too, which would be cool. Like all these NIL athletes, is there an opportunity to do something there? So yeah, that just depends. But there's so many big brands, amazing brands out there, and I think there's a solution at FOS for those brands.
Definitely. And it looks like we have one more question from the audience. This is from Alex. If you could go back in time, what is something you would tell your college self that you did not know at that time, whether it's on a personal or professional level?
It depends on the year. If I told myself my freshman year, if I went back to my freshman year and told myself something, I think it would just be like, all it takes is effort. At the end of the day, like, the biggest thing that's that an effort, and the effort you put in creates luck too. Like, obviously we got lucky. Our investor, the way we got our investors to know about us is the guy who's our main investor was on a Digiday podcast. I happened to be following him on Twitter. I saw about it. I quote tweeted it. He followed me. We had just happened to post something on Front Office Sports that went kind of viral from the company that he ran. I sent it to him. I said, hey, just so you know, we posted this. If you have anything else, let us know. We started to build a relationship. And then the craziest thing is I had a girlfriend my senior year, kind of after I graduated from college, ended up breaking up with me. And like, I'm not an emotional tweeter, not anymore. I kind of grown out of that, but I literally tweeted something like, it's amazing what can happen in a year. And that person, Jason, who's our investor, saw it, sent it to me in a DM and said, let me know how I can help. It's just like, you can't make that shit up, right? You don't know, right? You don't know. So I think the thing is hard work and effort puts you in a place to succeed and get lucky. And like, that's all you can kind of do is control what you can control. I think that was the other thing too. And then one of the other things is, put blinders on. Early on, I was just so obsessed with, what is this person doing? What is this company doing? I was just always looking at this, that. And obviously it was early on and you kind of did that, but now it's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, I don't care what anyone else is doing. Like, as long as we continue to execute what we want to do. And like, our whole thing now from an organizational standpoint, like, our motto is we don't set the bar, we raise the bar. So if we do set the bar, like with courses, is how do we make the courses better? How do we make the courses bigger, right? Like Rising 25, we launched that was the bar. It is the bar. Now, how do we make it better? We launched an entire digital and physical soccer team last year. How do we make it better again? Everyone who won this year got starter jackets, and they're sick. Like, awesome. But like, how do we continue to do year after year, elevating what we do from a content standpoint, from an offering standpoint, from a product standpoint, from an advertiser standpoint? And yeah, I mean, it really, again, like, it's just control what you can control. That's it. Like, you can't worry about anyone else. You can't worry about, we had no money. Like, there was no investors in us when I first started this business. And honestly, it was a good thing. And then obviously it came 4 or 5 years later, right? 6 years later for the most part. And, it just, but I controlled my effort day in and day out to show up, to run the Twitter feed, to post incessantly, to not go out and party like everyone else, to pay attention to what I was doing. And, hopefully in 2 to 3, 4 years, 5 years, who knows, like, now all those people are still working and I'm getting to live the life that I want to live because we did this, right? And then the team gets to live the life that they want to live because they did this with us. So yeah, it's just all about what you want and how you prioritize things, and you can go from there.
Awesome. Yeah, we got actually one last question. This one's from Jack Adler. Was it difficult managing your time, and did you feel prepared to run a company by yourself, or would you say you learned most of it along the way through experience? Talking about your time in college as a student.
Yeah, so obviously Russ is my number 2 and has been doing this with me since day one. So I haven't been running it alone, and the business wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Russ. Like, and that's just a plain fact, right? Like, I can do it, but like, I need Russ. He has more operational structure, and he's just much better at these things than I am, and some of these things than I am, right? So we're a good yin to each other's yang. It wasn't hard managing my time because I knew what I wanted. I knew what I liked. I knew that, the partying life wasn't for me. So I didn't prioritize that. I knew that I didn't want to go out all the time because I didn't prioritize that. Right. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just like, find what your priorities are. I think there's a Will Smith quote, like, find things and people that fan your flames, right? Like, if you don't have, like, life is too short. Find people that fan your flames, find things that fan your flames. And if that's the case, then you'll be in a really good spot and you'll have a ton of success. And, FOS has always been that for me. It's always been interesting. It's always been intellectually stimulating. It's always been challenging. It's always offered me the opportunity to do things like go to Monaco at the age of 18 and like hang out with Roger Federer. Like, that just doesn't happen, right? Like, that was cool, but that's because of what we did with FOS, or 2021, whatever, however old I was. So, again, like, all these different things is all just about priority and what you want. If you are cool with working a 9 to 5, that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. That's your life. Do what you want. If you want more than that, then there's an opportunity to do that. So yeah, I think managing my time, sure. Was it fine? Was it hard? Not really. Sometimes it was, but at the end of the day, it's just like, I didn't have a big social circle because I didn't go out every day during college. I wasn't in a fraternity because my fraternity and what I wanted to do was FOS. Like, so, that's, again, just all about priorities and what you want out of life. Once you figure that out and once you focus on that, then people will come and go too. I think that's the other thing, is I kind of figured out that I'm going to run my race. And if people want to come into my lane, whether that's significant others, whether that's business partners, whatever, that's great. But I'm going to continue to run my race. I'm going to run my race as hard as I freaking can. And as long as you do that, I mean, then you control what you can control, right? You control what you can control. Outside of that, like, you can't do anything. I can't control what someone else is doing right now. I can't control that someone had gotten an investment more than us. I can't control that someone has more staff than us, but I can control that, at some point we will, or we're going to be that person, or we're going to be people that people look to, and then they have all this stuff, right? So yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Adam, I can't thank you enough. I'm sure going to do more work after this, so I don't want you getting out of the office at 2 a.m. But thank you.
It wouldn't be the first time. I've slept on some office floors too. So
thank you so much for coming on our digital series. We appreciate all the wise words and experiences that you share to our listeners. And, we look forward to staying in touch in the future. And to everyone tuning in, thank you. We hope you enjoyed it. And until next time.
Awesome. All right, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Talk soon.